The world was at war. Gurudev Tagore spoke out in anguish.
The demon of barbarity has given up all pretense and has emerged with unconcealed fangs, ready to tear up humanity in an orgy of devastation. As I look around, I see the crumbling ruins of a proud civilization strewn like a vast heap of futility. The wheels of fate will someday compel the English to give up their Indian empire. But what kind of India will they leave behind? What stark misery, what a waste of mud and filth they will leave behind.
Thus wrote the Nobel laureate before his death in August 1941. By the year 1942, there was imminent danger to India's eastern frontiers. The Congress asked the British to grant freedom so that India too could participate in the war against fascism as an equal partner. When the British rejected the demand, the Quit India Resolution was passed at Bombay on the 8th of August 1942. In the early hours of 9th August, all the Congress leaders were arrested and whisked away in a special train. Mahatma Gandhi was interned at the Aga Khan Palace, Pune. All the members of the working committee were sent to Chand Bibi's fort at Ahmednagar. Maulana Azad, Jawaharlal Nehru, Syed Mahmood, Govind Ballabh Pant, P.C. Ghosh, Patabhi Sitaramaiah, Ashraf Ali, Acharya Narendra Dev, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Shankar Rao Dev, Acharya Kripalani, and Hare Krishna Mehtab. The news of the arrest of the leaders spread like wildfire. There were spontaneous demonstrations and protest meetings all over the country. A spirit of rebellion and a determination to put an end to the tyranny of British rule motivated the masses into open defiance. Mills and factories went on an indefinite strike in Bombay, Ahmedabad, Madras, Kanpur and various other provinces. The streets wore a deserted look. Students stayed away from classes all over the country. At Patna, 7 students were killed while trying to hoist the national flag on the Secretariat. The movement was particularly successful in Bombay, Bengal, Madras, Delhi, the central provinces and Uttar Pradesh. The Congress party was declared unlawful and its offices seized. The rulers violated every canon of decency. In the name of law and order, the police indulged in merciless repression. Professor N.G. Ranga says,
"But we were not prepared to cooperate either with the Japanese or with the British or with the Nazis or anybody. We only wanted freedom for our country. We also wanted the abolition or the destruction of fascism and Nazism. But that does not mean that we were going to give any kind of a quarter to the British imperialists."
Veteran freedom fighter Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay recalls,
"The movement itself was generated and carried on to progress by the people themselves.
Jayaprakash Narayan escaped from jail and organized underground resistance along with Ram Manohar Lohia, Achyut Patwardhan, Sucheta Kripalani, Aruna Asaf Ali and others. Mrs. Aruna Asaf Ali says,
वो एक इनकलाब था, एक जोश ऐसा था, मैं क्या कहूँ, हम हथियारबंद तो लोग थे नहीं उस वक्त,
निहत्थे थे, मगर फिर भी जिस तरह से लोगों ने पुलिस का मुकाबला किया, फौज का मुकाबला किया, उसका बयान करना बहुत मुश्किल है। मगर इतना कहना चाहती हूँ कि हिंदुस्तान की औरतें और मर्द तय कर चुके थे, ये जो आग सुलझी है अब हम इसमें झुलस जाएंगे, मगर हम आज़ादी लेकर ही हटेंगे। और गांधी जी ने भी अपने संदेश में यही कहा, डू और डाई।
The movement was kept going by the underground workers and by a few members of the All India Congress Committee who were still free. They chalked out a plan to intensify the struggle. There were 5 guidelines. The peasantry should refuse to pay the land tax. They should not sell food grains and cattle to the government. They should not accept paper money. They should organize Swarajya Panchayats and boycott revenue and police officials. Roads, telegraph and railway lines to be destroyed to interrupt movement of British troops. Tens of thousands were arrested. The police and the army fired on unarmed people. The British admitted that 1,028 persons were killed and 3,200 injured. But according to the Congress sources, over 25,000 were killed. As government censorship deprived the masses of factual news about the freedom movement, in Bombay, Vithalbhai Zaveri, Usha Mehta and their associates established underground radio stations to broadcast news about the freedom movement.
कांग्रेस रेडियो है, अब आप हिंदुस्तानी में।
Usha Mehta recollects.
When Mahatma Gandhi gave the call to do or die, we, a young group of students and businessmen, began to think as to how best we could contribute to the struggle that was launched by Bapu. We felt that the best way to do this will be to have a broadcasting station of our own, from where we could reach Gandhi's message to every nook and corner of the country, as also keep the people informed about the progress of our unique movement.
Congress radio calling. On the 8th of August, Mahatma Gandhi proclaimed his faith in his people.
We also broadcast speeches of Jayaprakash Narayan, Achyut Patwardhan and Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia.
On their arrest, Gandhiji and the national leaders left their people nothing. No plant program, no money, no organization, no leadership, nothing except the great idea of freedom and the magic formula to do.
In many parts of the country, the people set up a parallel administration. In Bengal, people like Bharat Kant Kwiti and Satish Chandra Sahu set up a national government at Tamluk, Midnapur district. Birendranath Maji carried the national flag alongside the immortal Matangini Hazra. Matangini fell to bullets. In Satara, Maharashtra, Anantkumar Berde and Natha Lad organized the Patri Sarkar, a parallel government. Leelabai Patil escaped from prison and joined the parallel government. Appa Master organized his Tufan Sena. In Orissa, a national militia asked the British to hand over the administration to the Kisan Mazdoor Raj. Rama Devi Gopa Bandhu Chaudhary and a host of others rebelled and set up Panchayati Raj. In the United Provinces, the national flag was hoisted on almost all the police stations of Ghazipur district. British administration was paralyzed in Azamgarh, Balia and in several other districts. In Assam, 15-year-old Ratna Phukan and Kanaklata braved heavy police firing to keep the national flag flying. Kanaklata paid the supreme price. In the Madras province, the railway line between Renigunta and Bezawada was uprooted. Mr. M.P. Shivanyanam, Tamil Nadu, says,
ஆகஸ்ட் கிளர்ச்சி எப்படி நடத்துவதென்று ரகசியமாக ஒரு சுற்றறிக்கை அகில இந்திய காங்கிரஸ் கமிட்டியிலிருந்து அனுப்பப்பட்டு சென்னை ஜில்லா காங்கிரஸ் கமிட்டியின் செயலாளர் அந்த என் கைக்கும் வந்தது. அந்த சுற்றறிக்கையில் குறிப்பிட்டிருந்தபடி கோவையிலே தொழிலாளர்கள் வேலை நிறுத்தம்.
Riots broke out in many parts of Tamil Nadu, and a large number of leaders of the south were arrested.
பூட்டை உடைத்து வெளியே கொண்டு வந்தனர் புரட்சி உள்ளம் படைத்த மகாஜனங்கள். சென்னை மாகாணத்திலிருந்து டி பிரகாசம், என் சஞ்சீவ ரெட்டி, வி கிரி, அனந்தசயனம் ஐயங்கார் ஆகியோரும், தமிழ்நாட்டிலிருந்து சத்தியமூர்த்தி ஐயர், முதுரங்க முதலியார், பக்தவத்திர முதலியார், நான், ராஜாராம் நாயுடு, காமராஜ் நாடார், வேலூர் குப்புசாமி முதலியார், திருவண்ணாமலை அண்ணாமலை பிள்ளை ஆகியோரும், கேரளத்தில் குருவாயூர் கேளப்பன், மாதவ மேனன், ராகவ மேனன் ஆகியோரும் வேலூர் சிறையிலிருந்து வடக்கே உள்ள மத்திய மாகாணத்தில் உள்ள அமராவதி சிறைக்கு கொண்டு செல்லப்பட்டனர்.
Jayaprakash Narayan deplored the role of the rich and the princely class who proved to be exceedingly selfish. The Communist Party of India stayed away from the Quit India movement and supported the British war efforts. Jawaharlal Nehru, while a prisoner in Ahmednagar fort, spent his time writing his epic, The Discovery of India. He writes,
And now it is a curious turn of fate's wheel that I, and the people like me, should spend our days in prison while war against fascism and Nazism is raging. Those who used to bow to Hitler and Mussolini, approve of Japanese aggression in China, should hold aloft the banner of freedom and democracy and anti-fascism.
The Secretary of State for India alleged that under Gandhiji's inspiration, the Congress had become a revolutionary party. Since the Mahatma's absolute faith in truth and non-violence had been questioned, he decided to go on a self-purification fast from the 10th of February 1943. All the political parties and communities except the Muslim League appealed to the government to release Gandhiji unconditionally. When the appeal was ignored, Mr. M.S. Ani, Mr. N.R. Sarkar and Sir Homi Modi resigned from the Viceroy's Executive Council. Gandhiji broke the fast on the 3rd of March. Rajagopalachari tried to find a solution to the communal problems by drawing up a formula for the partition of India as a basis for a settlement with the Muslim League. In February 1943, he visited Gandhiji in jail and discussed the plan with him. He then showed the plan to Jinnah and asked him to adopt a more realistic basis for the partition of India. Jinnah turned it down, saying it was a shadow and a husk, a maimed, mutilated and moth-eaten Pakistan. Meanwhile, on the 8th of February 1943, Subhash Bose left Kiel in Germany on a long voyage by submarine for Japan. After reaching Tokyo on the 13th of June 1943, he announced his determination to launch an armed attack against the British Empire. Subhash Bose reached Singapore on the 2nd of July 1943. He was welcomed by Rash Bihari Bose. The leadership of the Indian Independence League and the Indian National Army was transferred to Netaji. He became the head of the Azad Hind government in exile and the supreme commander of the Indian National Army.
Jai Hind! Jai Hind! Jai Hind! Jai
am overjoyed to see that you have already realized that the responsibility of winning freedom does not rest merely on the shoulders of our countrymen at home. It is but natural that they should bear the brunt of the burden, and they have been doing so already. But at the same time, every Indian, no matter where he may be living at the present time, has a duty towards his country, and he must contribute his due share towards the final victory. कोई बात नहीं है, हम जिंदा रहेंगे या तो मरेंगे, कोई बात नहीं है. बात सही बात यह है, अहम बात यह है, आखिर में हमारी कामयाबी होगी, हिंदुस्तान आजाद होगा.
After intensive training, the Indian National Army went into action against the British forces in the Arakans and on the Imphal front. They occupied Moirang Kangla in Manipur. In 1943, Bengal suffered the worst famine in India's history. Describing the plight of the people, Jawaharlal Nehru has written,
Famine came, ghastly, staggering, horrible beyond words. Men and women and little children died in their thousands daily for lack of food. Men were dying all over the world and killing each other in battle. Death was common enough everywhere. But here, death had no purpose, no logic, no necessity. It was the result of man's incompetence and callousness. False reports were issued by those in authority in India and England. But corpses cannot easily be overlooked. They come in the way. Help came from various sources, but too late. Several millions of lives had already been lost.
In November 1943, the government of Japan transferred the territory of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to the Azad Hind government. At the cellular jail in Port Blair, Netaji paid homage to the martyrs and unfurled the flag of free India. The Aga Khan Palace, Pune, was the scene of a personal tragedy for the Mahatma. On the 9th of February 1944, Kasturba Gandhi died after a brief illness, thus ending their 62 years of companionship. Gandhiji said, "I can't imagine living without Ba." 2 months later, Gandhiji suffered a bout of malaria. In May 1944, he was released on medical grounds. While recuperating in Bombay, Mahatma Gandhi wrote to the Viceroy that if a declaration of immediate independence was made, he was willing to advise the Working Committee to give up civil disobedience and offer full cooperation to the government in its war effort. The offer was not accepted. Gandhiji met Jinnah several times between the 9th and 27th of September 1944 to find a solution to the communal problems and the future political setup in the country. Gandhiji rejected the view that the Indian Muslims constituted a separate nation. He said that a separate Muslim state could be considered, if the people wanted, only after India became free. Jinnah wanted an immediate and complete settlement. The talks failed. For Gandhiji, it was a momentary setback. He still hoped to find a solution.
सरसाने वाला सदा शक्ति बरसाने वाला वीरों को हरसाने वाला वीरों को हरसाने वाला प्रेम सुधा बरसाने वाला प्रेम सुधा बरसाने वाला मातृभूमि का तन मन